So this video is going to be about the first vice presidential debate. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get right into this. So, overall, I want to see if I can pull up a transcript real quick. Overall, I think that that Pence won. You know, I'm not going to say he won by a landslide or anything, and that now it's going to put Trump in the lead or anything like that. But I think he edged Kamala out. I think he brought up some good points. She brought up some good points. I like things both of them said, but I do think Pence was very professional, and she was too. But that Pence edged Kamala. Pence edged Kamala out. I think I really liked when Kamala talked about the when the moderator brought up Breonna Taylor, and Kamala talked about how it was a tragedy, and it was, and then she went into prison reform and that sort of thing. I really liked those points, and she talked about keeping the police around is good. They don't want to get rid of the police, but that they think there should be some changes in the way they're funded and that sort of thing, and I agree with that. I don't think police should have military-style gear. I think that they should really be there to build relationships with their community and connect with people, and not be essentially some sort of military force. I think Pence did well, talking about some economy things. He did okay when, obviously it's really an uphill battle if he's having to talk about the Trump administration's response to coronavirus. But even so, I think he did an okay job at handling that. It's definitely a tough issue for him. But as far as the economy goes, he did well in that. I think he did good. A couple of times bringing up some concerning things with Kamala's track record. She definitely is very far left, which is a plus for some voters, but could turn away some more moderates, and even possibly some liberals, if they think she is too far left. So did a good job at that, I think. Alright, so go through some of these points on Washington Post. I couldn't find a transcript, but that's alright. So the first thing they talked about was the virus, which I touched on. Like I said, Pence is facing an uphill battle with that, and I think he did an alright job. This Washington Post says, fact check here, Harris said that Harris is quoted saying the president said it was a hoax, which Washington Post says is misleading. Trump thought some of the actions by the Democrats were, I guess, more of a hoax rather than the virus itself. Yeah, when it came to the Rose Garden event where a bunch of people from the Trump campaign caught the virus, Pence pretty much dodged that. He kind of related it back and said, I trust American people can, follow the guidelines, do what they think is right. But in terms of setting a bad example, he really didn't address that, but really how could he? I think he did an alright job with what he had to work with. Yeah, the swine flu thing was, I don't really know what was going on with the swine flu. Yeah, swine flu, kind of a weird topic. Pretty much just ignore that. It isn't really that relevant. Oh yeah, this one was interesting when they talked about the moderator asked both of them this question about the concerns with the age of Trump and Biden, if they had contingency plans and that sort of thing. They pretty much both dodged it. I know Pence went first and he talked about some of the stuff from the previous question and then didn't talk about it, and Kamala went second, and I thought she was going to address it better, but then she just talked about transparency and said that Biden had been transparent, which I really don't think he has been that transparent when it comes to his health. Maybe I'm wrong, but she talked about transparency and Trump's tax records and things like that, and Trump's health. Then they talked about, I think the next thing was, they kind of sparred over healthcare a little bit, but they didn't really go deep into Obamacare. Then they talked about the economy a little bit. They basically both claimed the other one was lying. Pence talked about how Obama's recovery from the recession was slow, which it was. But it is true that Trump inherited a growing economy and it continued to grow under him. I'm not sure, I'm not going to get into the stats tonight. I'm not sure if he increased the speed at which the economy was growing from what Obama handed him. But it's true, Trump got handed a decent economy, but it's also true that Obama's economic recovery was slow. Then they talked about manufacturing jobs a bit, that sort of thing. Talked about tax cuts some more, which Pence basically just said that Trump's a businessman and that's his job, and that he had provided lots of jobs for Americans and has paid hundreds of thousands in all kinds of other taxes. Pence's jab that Biden was a cheerleader for China was pretty good, I think. I'm not even sure how true that is, but he also did bring up some good points when Kamala said that the Trump administration lost the trade war against China. Pence said that Obama and Biden never even tried to fight the trade war. I think that is good. That kind of leads me into another point. But Trump, I think it's still ongoing. I really can't say who's won or lost yet. But I think it is good that Trump is trying to stick up for us over China. And then Kamala brought up the point that a lot of our allies don't respect us as much as they do, and that we've pulled out of international agreements, which is true. But a lot of them we pulled out because we're the only one actually contributing and making a difference. We can't just be here for every other country to use. If we have to become more isolationist and make other countries realize they have to do their fair share, then so be it. So, I think that's sort of along the lines of what Pence said, and those were some good points. They talked about fracking like 3 different times. I don't think anybody cares about fracking that much. It provides some jobs, but if they ban fracking and increase solar panel use, then those guys will become solar panel repairmen. Just like how as the economy changes, jobs aren't going to disappear. It used to take 15 people to sew a dress in a day, and then they came out with new machines and sewing became quicker, and now it's even quicker than it was, and new jobs come and take to take the place, which that's a whole nother issue. But automation isn't going to just cancel jobs, just like how canceling fracking isn't going to just put all those people out of work forever. Then they talked about climate change, which it is true. The U.S. has decreased CO2 emissions more than China or the EU, even though they're both still in the Paris Climate Accords. I think that was a really good point Pence brought up. He also talked about how the U.S. air is clean and the water is clean, which is true. It hasn't really actually worsened since Obama's administration, even though he's lessened up on some regulations. And something you actually never hear the media talk about. It's really not something I expect them to talk about. Which it's been, I think maybe as a Washington Post. There was some. Okay, this is from Politico. It's the one incredibly green thing Donald Trump has done. And basically it says, people who live near the most toxic sites in America say they saw a level of attention they haven't seen in decades under Trump. I think that's a good thing. I think he fixed Flint. Could be wrong on that. But, they've done good things for the environment, and even though they've repealed some regulations and things like that. So, while he probably should be taking more aggressive action, I don't think he's doing anything alarming that says, the environment is fucked if he stays in office for another 4 years. And then they sparred about the Green New Deal a couple times, how much Kamala supports that, what in that her and Joe support and whatnot. Kind of just really political babble. Let's see. Yeah, more. Yeah, then they talked about the Supreme Court a bit, which, they both basically just dodged the questions on that. Pence said that we should fill this seat. I think they should. I think Obama should have been able to fill this seat back in 2000. I guess that was 2016 at the end of his term there. He's president. He should be able to fill the seat. Just because he's in an election doesn't mean presidential duty stops. So I think that's pretty stupid. I think people also forget that no matter who's elected, November 3rd, Trump is still president till January. November 3rd, he doesn't stop being president. If Biden wins, he'll be president-elect, but Trump is president until January 15th or whatever the day is, So I think that's something people tend to forget. We choose a new president in November, but they aren't the new president until January when they're inaugurated. Everybody forgets that, I think. They talked about abortion some. I don't think Planned Parenthood should just be defunded and destroyed. Abortion's one I go back and forth on, so I'm not really going to comment on it now. But even if I say take the pro-life approach and think abortion should be outlawed, which that's not what I'm saying. I'm, like I said, really split on the topic. I still don't think Planned Parenthood should be completely defunded. And they talked about foreign policy, which I think Trump has done good with, or like foreign policy in the Middle East. He's made a lot of deals. ISIS is basically gone. Killed the leader of ISIS. A lot of good things. I think the Middle East is probably in the best or the U.S. and the Middle East are in the best relationship I guess they've been in a long time. So I do think, I don't know why there's people yelling out there. It's 12 o'clock. So I do think that's also a positive thing, and Pence also talked on that. So I don't think Pence had any moments where it's like, oh yeah, he definitely won the debate. But he had a lot of small moments, a lot of small victories. He had some good quips. And Kamala did some good things too. And really the final point I want to finish up is that the post-debate stuff, I saw a couple things about Biden, or about Pence being possibly mansplaining, and, I think he would have done, he interrupted the moderator a few times, but a couple times the moderator didn't interrupt Kamala when she should have, and, I think Pence probably did come out talking a little more, but it wasn't that big of a difference. I think even if it was a man moderator and he was debating a man, I think he would have done the same things. I don't think he was mansplaining or disrespecting either of them because they were women. Honestly, I think they should just respect the moderator and Kamala more than that and realize they're not weak. They're not letting Pence put them down. They're both obviously strong, powerful people, so I don't think they should be belittled and act like Pence was just stomping on them. Kamala interrupted the moderator too and talked over her, so it went both ways for sure. Yep. Thanks Thanks for tuning in.